Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this morning we have with us Michael Mendelson from the firm Outside GC. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
You bet. To kick off the show, Latte with a Lawyer, what's your morning beverage of choice to get started? Get cranked up.
I will try not to take the entire time to describe it, but I like a good cup of coffee in the morning. I grind the beans and I mix in some spices, and it's just sort of a part of a morning ritual. So I do that every morning. Get some nice Italian espresso beans to go in there, and make a good pot that hopefully will last me the day, depending on how much work needs to get done. So.
Good deal. That sounds good. All right. It's always a fun way to get started here. I like asking that question. The variety is interesting. As I mentioned, I just spent 10 days in Japan. It's less of a coffee culture there, right?
Yes.
People drink tea. Although, believe it or not, there's Starbucks all over Tokyo. So,
Well, have you ever had any of the cold brew canned Japanese coffee that they sell in some of the vending machines and things?
as a matter of fact, on the trip over there, I watched Lost in Translation. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I have seen it. It's a great film.
Which is a great film. So I got one of the Boss coffees out of the Suntory vending machine. It's amazing. So they have cold and hot selections in the
Yes, they do.
right?
Yep. When I lived in Northern Virginia, there was a Japanese grocery store I used to go to all the time. And I would try and find some fun things. So yeah, I've had the Boss coffee and some of the other Japanese drinks too. So
Amazing. Anyway, it was pretty good. Like walking on the street with a coffee out of a vending machine was a first, so that was fun. Anyway, okay, but listen, just to pivot here to business, tell us about what you guys do. I know you're a little bit different than the typical guest we have here with a law firm, so tell us about your practice.
Sure, absolutely. Outside GC is a nationwide virtual firm. We're nominally based in Boston, but we have concentrations of attorneys in New England, in the New York tri-state area, the greater DC area where I am, and out in Northern and Southern California, and we've got a few other lawyers in different parts of the country. It's a really, really great firm. The model is one that I think is incredibly valuable to businesses in the sense that number one, that it's not a typical partner associate kind of thing. Everyone's a partner or a senior counsel.
Okay.
Number two, I would say a minimum average experience of an attorney at the firm is 15 years. It's closer to 20 or over 25. I'm about 25 to 27 years out of law school. I stopped counting a while ago.
Yeah.
And we all also have been inside companies. So that's the part of the tagline, that outside GC. We've all been general counsels or senior in-house counsels, so we understand the dynamics of business, and that the provision of legal advice, outside of litigation or some other particular areas, is one of risk management, not risk avoidance or risk minimization. And we have that business perspective that, with respect to my colleagues in the other law firms, and many of them have been in-house for part of their careers, I think makes us a little unique in that regard, and we're able to provide that strategic value. So one of the things we do, as the name implies, is we serve as sort of outside general counsels to businesses that either do not need or it's just not in their budget yet to have a full-time attorney, and we become the consigliere, the business strategic legal and business advisor, as well as the drafter of contracts and corporate governance documents and merger and acquisitions on certain scales. And then also for some of our larger multinational clients, we either provide specialized help or just some just additional legal support at a senior level, because that's something that we can do. And I think it's a fantastic model. It's a great group of people. I've in terms of work culture and environment, I've never been happier in my career.
Oh, great. And so is it regionalized? So you're in the DC area. Do you have
Right.
more of your business around the government contractors or government?
That is part of my practice, but it really spans the gamut. So DC isn't just a government contract space anymore, and hasn't been for a long time. There's a tremendous amount of commercial and international business. So I was general counsel for a defense contractor in suburban Maryland for quite a while before I went back
Yeah.
into private practice. So I've got that government contracts, export and trade compliance experience, but I also do general corporate work, some M&A deals, corporate governance and investment, especially for smaller companies that are graduating out of the garage, going from that seed friends and family to their first Series A round of financing. And the general advice as well. So I mean, I spent a significant part of my career in high-tech aerospace and defense, and now I've got clients that make furniture, sell an oatmeal product in Whole Foods, do a variety of things from hospitality groups as well as high-tech clients. We've got a deep bench in the high-tech, especially internet commerce and data privacy, that some of my colleagues specialize in. So we do have some specialized practices and a very, very good employment practice as well.
Okay, good. How many in the firm?
I want to say a little over 100 lawyers nationwide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We also have a smaller sister firm, Patent GC, which, as the name implies, is more specialized patent and trademark and licensing and those types of things as well.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I see. I was looking at your background. So we share an engineering degree. I started as an engineer as well.
How long did you last?
Not long.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no, I lasted a total of 4 years. Then I went back
Longer than me.
to business school and got out of that. I mean, it's a shame that people can't keep engineer. Maybe it's changed, but uh, it was hard to keep engineers in that profession because it just wasn't as lucrative as business or law or other things. But
I've always had sort of a multidisciplinary interests. So I did my master's in international affairs at the Fletcher School, and over time have been able to combine the technology background and the international security and diplomacy background into the practice of law. In many ways, I think, I don't know the extent to which you give advice for people who want to be lawyers. I think it's helpful to have a broader background, a couple of years of work experience, and in today's environment, not necessarily an engineering degree, but understanding technology, knowing how to code, having that background makes you more valuable to your clients. You're able to pick up what they're trying to do faster and help them meet their objectives. And it's almost like learning another language. The technical literacy in today's practice of law, I think, is very, very important.
Yeah, no, interesting. So how did you make that switch though to go from engineering to law? How'd you make it?
Sure. Initially, I thought I was going to help America fight the Cold War, and when the Cold War ended, there were fewer opportunities for that kind of thing. And but in graduate school, I had some professors as well as classmates who were attorneys, teaching public international law, law of the sea, things, legal regulation of armed conflict, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I was just so impressed by the rigor of their thinking and their analysis, their worldview, their worldliness. And I thought, this is something that I can use to tie my diverse interests together into a profession that allows me to dip back into the engineering, allows me to work on the international side. And I have had an international career for most of my career. Been to over 40 countries to date, most of which was for work. I'm either happy or sorry to say, depending on your perspective. It doesn't work out right that way from the very beginning, of course. Yeah. You pay your dues, you work, you learn the trade, for example, and then as you grow and expand and those opportunities present themselves, the background becomes valuable. And I think it's been attractive, particularly in my in-house careers and especially now. It gives me that broader worldview and perspective.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. No, I've asked that question a bunch here with guests about sort of, the trajectory of becoming a lawyer. Like, many go right from undergrad to law school, which to me doesn't seem right. it seems like you should have a little bit of experience in between so you have a better perspective. So
Totally.
it sounds like you're suggesting the same thing.
Mhm.
And maybe there's a need for a change instead of 3 years of textbooks, maybe 2 in a residency or.
I couldn't agree more. Had this discussion with many of my colleagues and even former professors. Um, the third year of law school, while interesting, is not as productive as 2 years of classroom and a year of an article clerkship or an apprenticeship, something of that nature.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years exactly how the Canadian system works, but I do believe that before you can become a member of the bar, you have to do a year of an article clerkship, something along those lines. And I think that would be beneficial. There's a big difference between the academic nature of law and the practice of law. And especially if you're working representing businesses, and this is something that takes time to learn regardless, clients don't want to see a law school exam type memo. On the one hand this, on the other hand that. They want to know what's the problem they're facing, what are the risks and options. I mean, while you cannot guarantee a likely outcome, they want to know what some of their best choices are going to be to help them make an informed decision. And that's I think another good thing about our firm is that we have that perspective where our job is not to make the decisions. It's up to the client to decide what their risk tolerance is and where they want to go, within the parameters of the law. We're there to help them make that informed decision, show them where the traps are, like the Sherpa on the mountain, to avoid the pitfalls. But whatever route they want to take to the summit is ultimately up to the explorer, or in this case, the entrepreneur or the CEO.
Got it. So no. So you're really a quarterback, right? So I mean, if there's litigation, I assume you bring in someone to help with that. You guys don't do it internally.
Litigation is one of the few things we do not do, so
Yeah.
that's something we would outsource. So
Okay.
we're really business advice focused.
Business
So,
advice.
I
Okay.
mean,
Got it.
we would handle. I mean, I've handled contract disputes, things of that nature, and settlement agreements, and trying to bring it to a satisfactory resolution. But if it looks like it's going to get to the steps of the courthouse, or an arbitrator gets involved, then that's something we would want to get co-counsel involved in.
Got it.
For
Got
sure.
it. Got it. Is there a sweet spot for the business or your practice, the type of company you work with?
It's hard to say. I mean, I would say that small to medium enterprises are kind of a sweet spot in the regards. I mean, number one, our rates are far below that of what you would see on Wall Street or even on K Street. Um, but you still get that you're getting that value and experience. But we don't have the large office buildings. But that's as maybe. But at the same time, I also work with a lot of multi-billion-dollar multinationals too. So it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I think those companies, the smaller ones, are looking for value and strategic advice that they can afford and how to prioritize, and the larger companies are looking for that experience.
Okay, very good. Is there any one particular situation that stands out that you worked on that would be interesting to share?
In general, throughout my career.
Just
Sure. I've been fortunate to participate in a number of really cool things. When I was an associate early on, I was participated and helped work on the proposed privatization of the Mir space station. So the Soviet Union and then Russia, owned the space station, and they were figuring out what to do with it. And there was a group of investors in the United States that wanted to purchase it and turn that into the first commercial space station. It was really exciting. The way I got the job, too, was my office was next door to the managing partner, who was a very loud talker. So I could hear almost everything he said through the walls. And I heard him talking about this project, and I happened to knock on the door, and I said, "Hey, Barry, I can't help but overhearing, because I can't help but overhear. Just wanted to let you know I did my master's thesis on the Soviet space program, and I'd love to be part of this," which is true. That was what I did. So he said, "Absolutely, I want to get you involved." And so there was a combination of private equity transaction and financing, business planning, export licensing that required us to go to the White House and the State Department to try and lobby for this, because at the time the majority of space technology was controlled under the ITAR, which is, the as for your listeners who don't know, that's the export control regime governing military technology. And it was just incredible. And even though ultimately the business did not go through because the Russians decided it was better to deorbit the station, it wasn't safe enough to continue, that really was a catalyst to the birth of the commercial space industry. So, which, I mean, from there, it led to the start of one of the key investors started a company, Space Adventures, which sent Dennis Tito to the International Space Station as the first, commercial astronaut or the first space tourist, which led to others, like Elon Musk and Richard Branson and folks getting involved in that business. And so it was really fun. Even though the project in and of itself was not a business success, it was a catalyst to the start of an industry, and it was great to play a small part in that.
Oh, interesting. Who was in the administration at the time?
That would have been, let's see, it was 2000. That would have been Bush.
Oh, Bush.
That would have been W.
So do you have a chance to sit with, I mean, who did you actually interface with in the
At
cabinet?
the White House, it was the Office of Science and Technology Policy.
Oh, okay.
So we weren't sitting in the Oval Office, but we were with Bush's science advisors, basically.
Oh, nice. That must,
yeah.
I'm sure that was
It was still pretty cool. I mean, I can't complain. So.
Oh yeah. Very, very nice. Excellent. I saw it looked like Bloomberg was one of your influencers. Michael Bloomberg. Yeah.
Yes.
Why Michael Bloomberg?
I'm very impressed by Bloomberg, his sensibilities. And he's somebody who seems to be less interested in party line politics than he is in finding solutions and getting things done. And I think as mayor of New York City, he did a remarkable job and creating the business that he created. And I think he has a lot of common sense approaches and is very no nonsense. And I find that even today, the work that he does in business and philanthropy is just very, very interesting and inspiring.
Yeah, and also he grew up in Medford.
I didn't know that he's a Medford boy. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I mean, I read his bio years ago, Bloomberg on Bloomberg. I don't know if you saw that, but it tells his story. It's quite a story.
I will look for that.
Totally self-made guy, but
oh yeah, for sure. He started with the automatic stock tickers, basically. So it was a computer technology firm before it was a media enterprise.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll have to read the book. You'll enjoy it then.
I definitely will. Thank you for the tip.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, yeah. So okay, Michael. Anyone else that sort of stands out as an influencer that has helped guide you?
It's hard to say. I mean, the term influencer is so the 21st century, but I will say that there have been people in my life who have been a real influence, informal mentors or formal mentors who have sort of helped guide me and shape my worldview.
Yeah,
definitely. First and foremost, my parents and my dad. Sorry, Mom, I'm not I'm not discounting your influence, but my dad he's a salesman, and and I think I've inherited that. I say that I'm a third generation salesman as much as I am a lawyer. My grandfather was too.
okay.
You got to learn how to close the deal, and once you've closed the deal, don't oversell it. So I like bringing in new clients and new business as much as I like helping them to achieve their goals. And even when you're negotiating an agreement, you're selling ideas. So I think that is an important part of the practice of business law, which also young lawyers could benefit from some training, understanding sales. And I work with salespeople on a daily basis. All the ups and downs and the pressures that they're dealing with, and trying to get their buy-in. I'm selling myself to my own clients as much as I am selling my clients' perspective to the people on the opposite side of the virtual table.
Yeah.
So professors that I've had in law school and in graduate school, and even classmates. My graduate school, the Fletcher School, I was pretty young when I started, and there were a number of mid-career professionals who were there, mostly very decorated and accomplished military officers and aviators and they were about 10 years older than me on average, but they treated me as a classmate. It was, you're here, you made it in, and I was just so impressed with their thinking, their accomplishments, their drive, the way they organize themselves. One of them, Patrick Walsh, went on to be Vice Chief of Naval Operations before he retired from the Navy, and is just one of the brightest, most remarkable and humble people I have ever met, and he's been a tremendous inspiration as well. So I could probably talk for hours about some of the folks that I met, but I know our time is kind of limited.
No,
so.
no, no, that's okay. I mean, listen, I think the theme here is that it's important to have mentors, right? I think and then it's important to be a mentor. Yeah, I like what you said, bright and humble. Those are good qualities to have.
Yeah, and I would also mention Ed Leahy, he was an adjunct professor, but made the greatest impression on me, and we've been friends ever since. And he's my son's godfather, and he's just a great guy, self-made man, very humble, no nonsense, great business approach to the practice of law, as well as a remarkable remarkable intellect. My son was doing a presentation on hidden figures of American history, and his topic was Roger Sherman, who I learned, first thing I learned was no relation to old time comedian Alan Sherman, but was a Revolutionary era senator. And I'm telling Ed about this. Oh, Roger Sherman, yes, the senator from Connecticut and the first mayor of New Hampshire. Why am I not surprised he knows all of this? And just a tremendous, but again, no ego, no attitude about it. It's just something that he loves and enjoys and is willing to share. So Dean Hashimoto, who the Dean is his first name, Yale Law School, what was it, Harvard Medical, Yale Law, something like that, was a professor of, and I took his toxic torts class, and we were talking about a case. One of the students raised an objection to a particular Supreme Court case and the way the argument was done. And he said very humbly, and not in a way to intimidate, he says, that's a really interesting opinion. I actually wrote that opinion for the Supreme Court. And, but for the students, first thought is, oh God, what did I get myself into? But he was so nice about it and explained what his reasoning was behind why he drafted it, and then addressed point by point in a very constructive way, rather than I'm going to browbeat you because I know more than you.
Yeah,
and those types of people, I think, have had a tremendous influence on me.
Isn't it so true? I mean, it's really the teacher. It's not the material. It's the way it's presented and taught and the environment that you create.
And I went to Boston College Law School, and compared to some others, it had, at the time, a more humane approach to the practice of law. I mean, we still had some Socratic professors, and frankly, it was very helpful. But there was no intention or purpose of humiliating or browbeating a student into submission, especially in their first year of law school, which I think made it more tolerable. It's tough enough and high pressure enough as it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned you have kids. And anyone considering being a lawyer as well?
Well, let's see, I have one son, and I would say he's probably halfway there already. But we'll see. I don't know that I would encourage him to go into the practice of law at this point. The field is undergoing a tremendous amount of flux. And my advice to anybody would be, if you want to be a lawyer, know why you want to be a lawyer and know what you want to get out of it. If you want to be a litigator or something, then that makes perfect sense. But if there's something you want to do with it, such that your law degree will help you, whether you're working in the standard practice of law or using it in a different way, just know what you want to get out of it, because it is a big time and financial commitment. It shouldn't be the joke always was when I was in school, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I may as well go to law school.
Right.
Bad reason to do anything, doubly bad reason to go into the practice of law.
Yeah. So aside from the financial burden that you have, when you said things are in flux, what do you mean by that?
I think the traditional partner associate model is undergoing a lot of change. Okay. I think technology is gradually, like it or not, changing the practice of law. I mean, not necessarily just chatbots and artificial intelligence, but in terms of things like document review and due diligence and other things. This is not to say that humankind won't have have an opportunity, but I think it is and others brighter and more experienced than I in this area have done tremendous research on this. Richard Susskind in England, for example, that it's going to be more akin to sort of playing chess with artificial intelligence or something. So you can play one chess on one level. And I hope I'm getting my analogy correctly. But the artificial intelligence assisted or the technology assistance takes the game to a new level, and humans will still need to make those decisions as to where to put the pieces on the board.
Yeah.
But they're going to have access to more tools and things that will make it more efficient. Number one, and number two, open up a different decision-making process. So I think that there's a lot of change. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. Learn to code, understand technology. The practice of law is going in that direction. Even if you're doing your standard, open up your shingle, help people with trust and estates and wills and things. Even that is moving into the digital realm. People are talking about digital assets and how they are stored and how they can be bequeathed to an estate, and how does one gain access to that. So there is a tremendous amount of new technology that's coming in that's changing the substance of law, but also changing the way in which we practice and look at how we do our jobs.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any escaping AI in any industry, but I view it as more as it's a decision support. It's not going to replace humans. It just means it's like offshoring. You're going to be left with a higher order, more critical thinking instead of the mundane document review and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
you said, playing chess, moving the chess piece around. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that how much. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people worry that AI is going to replace humans. I don't think it does. It just changes the activity, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a different version of the Industrial Revolution in some ways.
Yeah,
In this case,
that's
it's a
right.
digital revolution. So, does it replace certain tasks? Yes, it does. Does it create and open up new areas of opportunity? Yes, it does. The broader question really is, how do we prepare ourselves to take advantage of that instead of
Right.
resisting it? How do we regulate it and keep it, within the bounds of what's reasonable as people? That's more of a more philosophical discussion than it is one of the practice of
Yeah.
law, but it's a fascinating area.
Yeah. Well, there you go. As a fellow engineer, Newton's third law of physics, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Mhm.
So
Well said.
there'll be some reaction to that, and
Yes.
the laws of physics always guide us. Anyway, so just final words you want to leave with the audience about your firm and the best way to connect.
Sure. Through our website is a good place to get a better idea of the
Okay.
experience and capabilities that we have outside gc.com. But you can always reach out to us. I think we're always happy to help clients achieve their business objectives. Following a business approach. So that's probably the best way. And I'm always happy to talk to new clients and put them in touch with the right folks. If I'm not the right guy to handle the work, I know that we have plenty of people who can.
Okay,
So
excellent. Good deal. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure learning
my
about
pleasure too. Thank you,
your
Jonathan.
business. For everybody, again, Michael Mendelson, Outside GC. And this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform. And we help litigators primarily prepare for mediation and trial with our Insights platform. So thanks again, Michael. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun.
You bet.